It's not the reality. It's our moral beliefs. And you have to ask about our moral beliefs. Why? Why is being selfless good? Why is self-sacrifice good? Now, nobody has an answer to that, because there is no reason. Why is the life of somebody else more important than my life? I have one shot at this life. Why should I place the interest of other people ahead of mine? There is no reason. There is no reason to sacrifice. There is no reason to be selfless. We're here once on this planet. We have one shot at this. Why not try to make our lives the best lives that it can be? Why not try to live fully and completely? Why not be self-interested? Why is that not what morality is about? After all, Aristotle, the great Greek philosopher, he thought that's what morality was about. According to Aristotle, the purpose of morality is to teach us how to achieve eudaimonia. Eudaimonia meaning flourishing or happiness. It wasn't about sacrifice. It wasn't about being selfless. It was about being self-interested. In a way, what are the virtues and values that allow you to be self-interested in a way that achieves happiness, that achieves success, that achieves happiness? That's what Ayn Rand's message really is. It's we need to scrap the old morality. We need to get rid of the old moral code. And we need to establish a new moral code based on the idea that your life is the most valuable thing to you. And then you have to figure out how to live that life. It's not easy. It's not easy to figure out what will lead to happiness and what won't. We need principles of morality to do it. And by the way, it turns out that lying, stealing, and cheating are not good for you. They're not good for you. Why not? Well, they land you in jail often. That's pretty bad for you. They ruin your business. You try lying in business. People won't do business with you anymore. You try cheating in business. And the same in life. Try lying to your spouse on a regular basis. See what happens to your wife or husband. Doesn't work. It's a crummy, stupid strategy for succeeding. Except in politics. But that's because politics is force. And it's the one realm in which we expect lying, stealing, and cheating, and we don't mind it. But that tells you that something's corrupt, that something's bad, right? In business, we wouldn't tolerate it. In our personal life, we wouldn't tolerate it. Politics, we just go, that's the way of the world, right? It tells you that politicians have way too much power. Way too much power if we allow them to lie, steal, and cheat. So what we need is a new moral code. A moral code that helps guide individuals in pursuit of their own happiness, in pursuit of their own fulfillment. A moral code that recognizes that there are certain principles that are required in order to achieve success as a human being. But it's also true that each one of us is going to concretize, make real those principles in different ways based on our own personal values. They're going to be different. And that difference to express itself requires what? Freedom. It requires us to be free from somebody else telling us how to live and what to do and how to do it. But what is the most important value for a human being to be successful in life? What is it? What is the value that makes, well, this is a pretty good building to be in, that makes all this stuff around us possible? Makes our clothes possible, the chairs you sit on, the building, the sculptures, the iPhones that you have, or the Samsungs, whatever it is, right? What makes all of that possible? Reason. Yeah, there's only one thing that makes us uniquely human, that makes it possible for us to be successful as human beings. Because if you look around the room, you can look at each other, look around the room, we're a pretty pathetic animal. We're weak, we're slow, we have no claws, we have no fangs, right? You and the saber-toothed tiger, you would lose every time. And yet the saber-toothed tiger's in a museum, and you're all here. Because we won. How did we win? By reason. Reason is what makes human life possible. Reason is what makes human progress possible. Reason makes all other human values possible. So if we want to value something, if we care about our own happiness, our own flourishing, then we care about our reason. And this is why lying is such a stupid strategy. Because lying is deception. Reason is about facts and truth and reality. Lying is about the opposite. There's a term in computers, garbage in, garbage out. Well, lying is garbage. If you put into this delicate machine that I would call your brain, your mind, your reasoning capacity, if you put in garbage, you're going to get garbage. And you should care about your reasoning mind because it's the way in which you survive, it's the way in which you thrive, it's the thing, the faculty that enables you to be successful in life. Now, what does reason require in order to thrive, in order to be successful, in order to really lead to human flourishing? What is the enemy of reason? What is the thing that stops reason from being able to lead to success? Force, the gun. And this is why, this is the non-initiation of force principle that libertarians talk about. It's not punked out of nowhere. It's the principle of reason needing to be free in order to be successful, in order to lead to progress, to success, to flourishing of the individual. Your thinking is meaningless. And at the end of the day, you cannot think when you've got a gun pressed to your back. This is why there's no innovation under communism. Why? How could you innovate? You don't know if you're going to piss off the regime or not piss off the regime. So you don't even try, because pissing them off means a bullet in the head. Or jail time. Authoritarian governments don't have progress. Not because of the politics, but because of the way the human mind works. The human mind cannot function under the threat of force. It shuts down. It's why we needed to break the chains of the Catholic Church's domination over ideas in order to have an enlightenment, in order to have a scientific revolution. It's only when they move from burning people at the stake to house arrest to leaving people alone do we get an explosion in science. Right? Post-Newton. And even Newton was very careful in what he said, not to upset the wrong people. But at least Newton already knew that he was not going to be burnt at the stake for discovering laws of physics. People 100 years earlier did not know that. What's that?
Your microphone's broke.
Microphone's broken? Yeah, it looks like it's run out of batteries. It says hello. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's back. Maybe. So reason requires freedom. Reason requires freedom, and the fact of individuals living for their own happiness, for their own lives, they require freedom. If I'm an individualist, if I'm trying to attain my own happiness, my own success, I want to make choices for myself. I want to use my reason to guide my life. And I'll make mistakes. I'll fail. Steve Jobs failed more than once. And what am I free to do if I fail? Learn from it. Or not. Some people don't learn from their mistakes. And they suffer. And that's good. They deserve to suffer if they don't learn. If they don't use their mind. If they don't use their reason. Steve Jobs didn't. Steve Jobs learned from his mistakes. And as a consequence, it was a huge success. But if we don't let people fail, then they never learn. So as a person who cares about my own happiness, my own flourishing, my own success, the most important thing I want is to be left alone. Not left alone in the sense of out in the forest without any other people around me, because people are incredibly valuable to my life. People are of crucial value to me. They build iPhones that I can then trade for. Or they build sculptures that I can then enjoy. Not alone in that sense, but alone in the sense of free from people telling me how I should live, and not just telling me, forcing me to live the way they want me to live. Telling me which elevator I should use and which I shouldn't use. What clothes to wear and what not to wear. What food to eat and what not to eat. Who to marry and who not to marry. It's true, right? You still don't allow gay marriage in Poland, right? It's none of anybody's business who I marry. It's a contract.
So didn't Yaron talk about it's immoral to be gay?
She never said it was immoral to be gay. She didn't like the idea of being gay. She thought it was unnatural, but she never thought it was immoral. She never said it was immoral. Immorality depends on whether it's a choice or whether it's not a choice. And to her it wasn't obvious that it was a choice. Immorality depends on you have to make a decision. Otherwise, win again. 1, 2, 3. Do we have another one? Let's try. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Morality is about choice. And by the way, Ayn Rand could be wrong. Not everything Ayn Rand said has to necessarily be right about any particular concrete. Philosophically, I think she's right about everything, but not necessarily on every application. So the fact that Ayn Rand was wrong about something doesn't prove anything. But the whole point is that self-interested people who believe in a morality of self-interest, want freedom. They don't want mother government telling them what they can and cannot do. They don't want statism, because statism, the essence of statism, is telling you what you can and cannot do. And unless we replace the morality that we have today, unless we trash the morality of selflessness into the trash heap of history where it belongs, we will continue to suffer under statist boot. We will continue to fluctuate between periods of relative freedom and abandonment of that freedom. Because we will never trust self-interest, which means we will never trust free markets, which means we will never trust capitalism. We will never trust the system that provides us the economic wealth, the economic success, the economic prosperity. To get to the point where we trust it, to get to the point where we care about prosperity, where we get to the point where we care about freedom, we have to replace the morality of selflessness, of self-sacrifice, with the morality of individual flourishing, within the morality of rational self-interest, where reason is our primary value. So my book is called Free Market Revolution. But the revolution that I'm calling for is not a political revolution or even an economic revolution. What I'm calling for is much harder. Much, much, much harder. Because it goes to the very essential values of our culture. What I'm calling for is a moral revolution. A moral revolution for self-interest and as a consequence for capitalism. Thank you all. I'm sure you have questions. So. Yeah. Good. Yep. You.
First, a short question would be, is that moral revolution means that we have to reject religion as a society or as a majority of society? And second question, without arguing with you about causing of the statism, why we're drifting towards statism, I would also argue that self-interest, in a way, is causing statism, because politicians are acting, pursuing their self-interest, and in their self-interest, they is to have as much power as possible, especially in a relatively closed political system, and we have like only two parties, for example, like in the US. So it's always either Republican or Democrats. Either way, the more power they will have, it's the better.
Yeah. So let me answer the first question and then the second question. What we have to reject is Christian morality. There's no question. Christian morality is a morality of self-sacrifice. You've got Jesus up there on the cross, dying for not for his sins, that would be justice, but dying for your sins. And that's what makes him a God, if you will, right? The fact that he's dying for other people's sins. And that is the symbol. That's what we should all strive towards. Sacrifice for other people. Now I know we're in a Catholic country, but that's the reality. The reality is the Christian morality, in my view, is incompatible with capitalism. It's incompatible with freedom. Because it demands of you to sacrifice. And capitalism is not about sacrifice. It's about exactly the opposite. Now, I know that in modern times, Christianity has moved, if you will, particularly in America. I tell Christians in America, you're Americans first and Christians second. What you've done is you've taken your Christianity and made it American by making it okay to make money and to be capitalist and so on. But that's not really it. Your second question, remind me. What's that? Remind me again. Oh yeah, politicians.
Yeah, politicians. But I would like to end this question. As I said, in their own interest, it is to increase the statism, have as much power on our lives as possible. And as we have seen, even when there were politicians who were claiming they are for freedom, they were trying to reduce the government, but it was at best only in terms of percentage of GDP. The part of the government as a
government is growing,
but in absolute numbers,
yes, it grows.
It wasn't lowered. So how would you create a, let's say, perfect political system that in a minimal state that wouldn't allow to back statism? Yeah. It would be in a democracy, maybe monarchy, I don't know. What would be your solution to have a minimal state that will, unlike US at the beginning, will...
So let me state first that I don't think politicians are self-interested. They're not altruists either. Politicians are unbelievably self-destructive. Have you ever met a happy politician? A flourishing politician? I haven't. Have you ever looked in Bill Clinton's eyes? He's a miserable, pathetic human being, as are almost all politicians. Sorry if there are any in the audience.